we kind of jumped around a bit. And we're still going to do a little bit of jumping around, but not before we finish up one particular story. Someone do a recap. Because I'm going to do a bunch of DMing, and I want to take a drink of my drink first before I start.
Last time, Legacy met with Sprite, so now we have a new recruit of an old friend that is going to make Legacy's hair actually gray, not just dyed gray, but actually gray before they are done. Loki setting up to have Sprite meet Kaya and Marcus, because she's pretty sure that Sprite is either going to immediately piss off Lockhart or immediately try to get in Lockhart's pants, and neither one of those Legacy wants to deal with. At least Kaya is not going to understand what is happening. Kaya went to Bingetti's place and fucked around with the full dive machine. That is no longer a full dive machine, it is a Netrunner machine. And got some safety backups planned for it and a couple of other things, and then Bingetti talked Kaya into letting him into the machine. And I think that's where we actually ended the session, was Bingetti just hops into the fucking machine, and Kaya's like, didn't expect him to just go fuck around in it, which he was going to do. And then Lockhart went with JJ?
Correct.
To go look at in a building that was formerly owned by Tetsuo. I forget the
owned
history.
by a lot of companies.
Yeah, I forget the full breakdown of the history of it. But they were going to go check on some things and try to figure out some security stuff that was in the building and that type of stuff, so that maybe we have a better idea of what we might walk into in the labs or in the headquarters. And went really, really far down, because I think it was more floors under than there was above.
Correct.
Like 30 floors, right?
Yeah.
And ended up going down and walking into essentially an opening scene of an Aliens video game.
A containment chamber.
Mm-hmm.
Would be my best guess.
Yeah, some sort of containment chamber type thing where the glass was smashed and it was very clear something got out or was let out or something. And they ended up stepping on the wrong thing, essentially, and they're fucking around with the security and setting off the entire security system in this building. As lights started flashing and alarms started blaring, and they are 30 stories under the ground. With maybe something still inside, we don't know. Probably not, but still too much like an Aliens
Who
video
knows?
game.
It could be, or it could not be, but we're gonna find out right now. So we're gonna pick right up with Lockhart and JJ. You guys are both on the 30th sub-level, or I believe it's the 20th. There's 30 floors, 10 above and 20 below. But you're on the negative 20th floor, deep in the bowels of this building, and the alarm starts going off. The lights around you have changed. So before they were these crisp white halogen lights with the occasional flicker to show there's been no maintenance. This has just been here sitting in some state of kind of neglect. But with the alarm tripped from that keypad, you can see that the halogen lights, some of them have turned off. Some of the ones that were flickering still kind of flicker, obviously just not connected to the system anymore. and are now just kind of malfunctioning. But there are emergency lights that illuminate hallways, and it's kind of like you would expect, where you have the flashing, like, rotating, like, red and white lights that kind of turn this into a strobe light scenario, where you can still kind of see, but it's very chaotic and disorienting. And then there's that low, like, very Star Warsy Death Star warning noise, that kind of like a low drone of brrr, brrr. And JJ was, I believe, hacking a little keypad on the door when there was something that went wrong. The alarm was tripped, and then now you're both there. Lockhart, are you doing anything immediately?
We were trying to get the door open, right? We
Yes.
look around, see if there's any freaking self-defense, freaking turrets or some shit gonna pop up.
Yeah, so Lockhart, you like that alarm trips, and immediately your head's on a swivel, expecting something to drop out of the ceiling or pop up out of the floor. And you can see that there are some panels that look like they would do that. One of them is slightly ajar. There's like a seam where it was partially unfolded, but you see that you hear, like, over the droning alarm what sounds like a deployment noise, but you don't see anything from this corner in the door where you're at. You hear this, like, as something settles into place, and you hear that, like, it's a little hard to tell if you heard it multiple times, as they're all likely in sync. But you definitely heard something deploy. And JJ immediately stands up and is like, all right, we're leaving. Fuck this place. And he swings the shotgun up and around, and he is holding it in the direction towards the red door, like, back the way you came, effectively.
I guess not. Start heading towards the door as well. Keep an eye on those panels.
So you
Is there
see
a way
that
to lock them?
you could step on it, but there's no, like, manual latch on the side of it that you can see. But there's only one in this area. So if you're looking at the image again that is in the scenery, dead center of the image, on the black tiling floor, there would be a panel like that is partially raised. And it looks like if there was going to be something to deploy from the floor, it is broken. But you walk around the corner, and there's like a tingling in the back of your neck, almost like a spidey sense, and you're like, I don't know, I don't trust this. And then you slowly turn your head, and you have just enough time to see this and react to it before anything happens. But inside the chamber, there are two double-turreted guns that have deployed from the ceiling. And there's, like, the little laser dot that shows where their actual aim is. And, like, as you step around this corner in front of that hallway area, both, like, there's a brief moment where they are, the little red dot sight is spinning around in the room, and it hasn't sighted you yet, but in about half a second, it's going to turn on you. JJ hasn't noticed.
Pulling JJ back.
Mm-hmm.
So this is in the red doorway. This isn't in this room.
It is in the circular room where the thing would be contained.
Oh, okay. Yeah. Definitely pull him back.
Yeah.
And, like, get behind the wall.
You yank him back, and he's surprised, but he doesn't, like, protest as you yank him. So he's like, obviously she sees something. So you guys are tucked in the little blue vestibule area still. What'd you see?
Turrets. We don't
Great.
think we're going up that way.
Looks at the thing on the floor, and then looks at the wall around the corner, and he just kind of cranes his neck, but can't really make out any discernible details because you'd have to move out more or less into the line of fire to get any sight on these things. So he moves back and just kind of grimaces and says, "Well, what way do you plan on getting out then?"
Near the door behind us, we could try and pull.
Oh, fuck. Okay. Okay. And he looks at the shotgun and he'll sling it around his shoulder again, and he'll grab part of the door to help you yank it.
Let's do it.
Okay, go ahead and roll tough. And you can roll with advantage, which is 3d6, but you take the highest 2.
3d6. Shoot. Tough. No, not cool. I said tough. You said advantage, right?
Correct.
And I assume hand-to-hand doesn't work with this.
Correct. Not this time, unfortunately.
Yeah.
That's pretty good still. So, you and JJ both pulling in unison on the blue door, and bear in mind you're in this corner from this top-down perspective, and the turrets would be in this room, and then the half-raised one is about right here. So you're pulling open a door that's in this vestibule area. With a 12, you both heave on it, and JJ's not nearly as strong as you. He's a big dude, but he's not inherently he is not just a strong guy. It's mostly body weight. So he's heaving as best he can, and with both of yours combined strength, you're able to pull the door a little bit, and you get it about 6 inches, like 2 or 3 inches at first, and then you get another like good skirk as it pulls another 2 or 3 inches, and you have about half a foot. You could maybe squeeze through there, but you go to look through it, and on the other side, you hear what sounds like turning and whirring, like the sounds of robotic movement as something is like, and then you look up and you can see it's not able to sight you, but there is a turret on the other side of the door.
Wonderful.
What?
That's another turret over there.
He slides over, pokes his head in, just goes, shit. Okay, both sides.
And so let me look at the map. So we're right here, right?
Yep.
So we can't see. We can probably see to here at here at best.
With the door propped the way it is, you pull the door this way. The turret is like right here.
Okay.
You can see from this corner.
Draw some red
basically
X's really
like
fast for the turrets.
Ah, smart.
Oh yeah. Here, I'll draw them. So you have turret in here, turret in here, turret here.
Could I try and get a piece of paneling?
Could you try and get a piece of paneling?
Yeah, off like one of the walls nearby.
Sure. Yeah, so the paneling isn't all perfectly flush. It's close, but on a good and like just closer look at it, you can see that it's a little wonky. There's been just damage in the room that has led to some of the walls having dints or dents. So you can it takes a little bit, but you can pry your fingers underneath one of the panels and give it a yank, but roll tough.
And how dense is the panel?
The paneling, it's not super dense. This is mostly like the top layer of paneling that you're pulling from the most accessible wall is maybe like it's going to be still really thin. It's almost like a metal poster board kind of thin.
Okay.
Like or actually more appropriately, it'd be like a stop sign.
Thinking maybe something to use as a weapon or to toss up these things as a distraction. How close is that wadded up piece of metal?
Oh, the thing that was a camera?
Yes.
It's close enough that you could grab it. You're not entirely sure if the turret would sight you, but if it did, you'd be able to duck back into the vestibule, probably in time.
I'll try and grab that.
Sure. Are you still going to pull a panel off the wall?
Yeah.
Okay. So, whichever you are doing first, roll tough if you're pulling the panel off.
Yeah, I'll get the panel first.
Okay. Eight. Yeah. So, huh?
Oh, I was just gonna say, I don't know how it would work here, but with the bare bones, I can pull and lift 500 up to 500.
This is true. So you're able to pull the panel off the wall, and this is like a feat of sheer strength. So you dig your fingers underneath it, and it initially it's pinching very, very badly, and it starts to hurt. You can feel like the tips of your fingers start to get really, really raw as you're pulling just against what is essentially just like metal that has been shaped to be a fancy wall paneling. But you pull, and then as soon as you get a little bit more purchase, you shove your fingers deeper underneath the panel, and then pull harder, and you give it like another 2 or 3 good yanks, and then you pull all the way back, and it snaps off the wall. And you can see that there's like wiring and other stuff underneath it. You just yanked out like 3 or 4 bolts that were pinning this to the wall underneath the panel. But you have the panel, but it's kind of bent. You have the muscle strength to actually pull it off, but it's not perfectly flat.
It's something to use as a shield, at least.
True.
Doesn't have to be perfect.
Yeah. So you have this bent piece of what it's about the size of a stop sign, the size and thickness of a stop sign, with like a big bend in the middle of it, and you want to grab the wadded up, destroyed security camera that's been kind of tossed to the side.
Yeah.
Cool. What is your quick defense?
Quick defense is 12.
Okay. So you take like a tentative step out of the vestibule, and you can hear the searching motion of the turret heads, and it's not constant. It's like you hear the word, and then there's silence, and then you hear word, and so you wait for that noise to happen, and then the second that noise stops, you jump out and grab that little scrap of metal, and as you are running back to the vestibule, you can see that the turrets are moving around, almost like they detected motion. They don't sight and they don't shoot, but you hear them like that whirring motion again as you duck around the corner. So you have your makeshift shield and your security camera, and it's a big piece of metal. It's like the size of a football of just broken security camera.
Okay, perfect. So, okay, here's the plan. We'll try and do this to get the turrets in their attention. I'll cover you with the shield. You go first and run to the door.
He hefts the shotgun out from underneath his arm, and he holds it and just goes, "No shooting, just running for the door."
Well, hopefully this thing will be enough of a distraction.
He tilts his head one way, and you hear like a cracking of his neck, and he tilts his head the other way, and you hear a few more pops. And he just kind of rolls his shoulders, and you can see him. He's doing this sort of like hype himself up maneuver, like just like okay, running past the gunfire. We can do that. We can run past gunfire.
Mm.
And he nods and just goes, okay, let's do it.
Okay, Lockhart kind of lifts the sets the metal sheeting as close to the wall as possible.
Mhm.
Picks up the camera on your mark. And she kind of
Like-
preps to throw it into the. Essentially, she's trying to throw it this way, so they
Mhm.
kind of aim inward. Maybe take each other out. Who knows? But more just to have it bounce somewhere in this way, so its focus is on the inside the room instead of outside.
Mm-hmm. Cool. Okay. So you prepare to throw it. JJ is on he's kind of in a sprinting stance. He's holding the shotgun, kind of cradling it with one arm, so it doesn't bounce around and bump his leg or trip him up. He's not aiming it.
When he's ready. When he's ready.
Okay. When he's
she's
ready.
leaving it to him. Yeah.
Okay. So after another second of pause, he looks at Lockhart. You kind of give him the go, go. And he just goes, oh. Psychs himself up again, and then darts. And he rips around the corner. Roll me your a quick check.
Okay.
And this is technically like an improvised. Well, you're not trying to hit them with it. You're just trying to throw it in there.
Yeah, I'm trying to basically have it hit the wall, maybe bounce around a little bit for a distraction. But yeah.
Okay.
She's aiming dead center here.
So you're aiming dead center of the room. Roll me a quick check. I don't know if you have anything for improvised. I will let improvised weaponry count for this.
Okay.
If you have it, if you have anything like that.
We switched it to melee combat.
Gotcha. So go ahead and roll a quick check.
Okay.
And it's not hard to throw. It's just a matter of getting it exactly where you want it in a quick, snap of movement.
I will boost this just in case.
Mm-hmm.
And do I add? I don't add melee to this, or I do?
Don't add melee to this.
Okay. Boost.
Okay.
Wow. Big
So
slab.
with an 8, you pull around the corner, and you are trying to time this as tight as possible, so that you get the maximum amount of time between JJ running around the corner and having it change targets from one thing to another. So you kind of throw a little bit prematurely, and if you're looking at that image, the left-hand wall that is into the viewing platform area, you peel around the corner, there's a little bit of glass that you have to get past before you can throw it into the hole, unless you're trying to throw it through the glass.
No, it's into the hole.
Yeah. So you take a few steps, like 1 or 2 steps, and in that moment, it feels like it is an eternity. It is like this is you feel like you could not possibly be moving slower. It is so infuriating how you have to take these just very short strides because every microsecond counts. And your brain is just running rampant. You're processing everything that's happening. And as you are moving, JJ, even though he started ahead of you, you are now like basically in line, in lockstep with him. And you can see the turrets as they are both scanning. There's a hitch in their movement, ever so slight. And then they both start to turn towards you. Your foot hits the ground and you pivot on your heel and lob the wadded up camera in. It hits the edge of the glass. It still goes in, but it bounces in and it ricochets off to the right. So it doesn't go dead center. And the turret, if you're looking at the top down, this turret is basically looking this way, and so the camera comes in like this. You throw it this way, and you're aiming for the center, you throw it, and it bounces in like that. So it's kind of veering towards a broader side of the window. This turret immediately like turns and sights it, and then you hear the spinning up of two little, what are probably like 10mm guns. And it's just, and then the entire wall, all of the glass shatters. This turret is late to the party as it's turning to see the debris that you threw, and it fires a second after, and you hear just, this is a small space. A gunshot of any kind is going to make your ears ring, but there's now just a cacophony, this absolute raucous, like from what is ostensibly just the low drone of silence that you kind of got used to with the alarm going off. Now it is just blaring gunshot noises. It is so loud. And that glass shatters. You see it shatter. You don't hear it shatter, but you watch it get crystallized and peppered into a spray of shrapnel. JJ is running. He has got his hand over like part of his face, stopping some of the glass from the shatter. It's shooting at those turrets, or it's shooting at the camera. And JJ will have one round where he is not shot at which point, or after which point, the turrets will sight onto either him or you. It is a gamble as to which it's going to be. But you have a chance to act again before the turrets sight onto either one of you. The entire window to that containment chamber is now completely gone. It has been basically turned to dust at this point. What are you doing?
Okay, so I have a free angle on both of these starts, correct?
Yes. There's no
Okay.
glass between you and them. This entire curvature is now unobstructed.
Well, it's time to lose the heirloom, it seems.
Okay. Hey.
So, seeing that there is not enough time, these things were on point. She'll grab the wrench, and again, since now this is kind of free space, essentially, to throw in, again, aiming dead center between the two turrets to try and give more another target, essentially.
Mm-hmm. Okay. Go ahead, and if you're rolling, I will let you use your melee for this because it is the heirloom.
Yeah. I'm gonna boost this again.
I'll tell you right now, I think you should hold that boost.
Okay.
I don't think you'll need to boost this.
Okay. Rolling quick, correct?
Yes, rolling quick, and you can add your melee to it. There you go. So, with this, you have the panel in one hand, and you're kind of looking at it for a sec as trying to do the math. These turrets are, one of them is aiming at the camera, the other is about to aim at the camera. As it peppers the camera at first, it takes a second to start to zero in on a new target, and you don't give it the opportunity. You're throwing the wrench into the same spot that you were aiming for before.
Mhm.
Gotcha. So you reach over and grab the wrench off of like a clip on your side, and like toss it almost like a frisbee. You like pitch it sideways, and it starts spinning end over end horizontally, going through the window. What was the window? And as it sails through the air, you can see the turret. It has like a slight hitch in its movement again, and like almost imperceptibly, you see the barrels. There's 2 barrels on each gun, and they pivot like maybe 10 degrees to the right, and then it starts shooting again, and that wrench is just shredded. Like it is like peppered with 1,000 rounds. As JJ moves across, he is basically home free. The other turret is going to aim, however. And high or low, Lockhart?
Low.
Low? Okay. So, the turret, it's going to be this one. So you threw the wrench, the right side turret inside the chamber is shooting at the wrench. This turret sights onto you. What is your quick defense?
12.
12. So this turret is kind of late to starting up. You hear the guns spin, and it starts opening fire onto you. It's going to start, it doesn't quite hit immediately as it starts shooting prematurely, almost like it's spooling up and then firing and still in the midst of acquiring the target. But it starts peppering around like in front of you and a little bit above you, and it is just tearing into this laboratory equipment. You can see like sparks and metal and just damage in basically this line of death that is being drawn around your head. What are you doing?
Well, I can't run forward, so I'd have to step back.
It's not shooting like in a wall. It's shooting slightly in front of and above you in a line.
Okay. Let me double check something real quick. I think I can use this here. Why is it? Could I float like a butterfly and try and get through?
Float like a butterfly. What is the wording on that again?
You are startlingly quick. You can catch, deflect, thrown items. Additionally, you can dodge 1 attack per round of combat without requiring a roll, though you cannot do any actions or abilities if you choose to do so. So long as the attack is not benefiting... Oh no, it's benefiting from targeting. Never mind. Well, I mean, can I roll? Like, dive and kind of roll through?
Yeah, tuck and roll. Yeah,
Yeah.
you can tuck and roll. I'll let you make a quick check, and I will give you the benefit of I will give you a bonus of on this, because I think it's only fair because you have float like a butterfly. These are the targeting systems on these machines are not. It's not like a very very hard target lock. Because they're programmed to shoot basically movement, like movement that like too fast of movement they will shoot at. And like I think in the spirit of that, I think it's only fair that I'll give you like a bonus of 2.
Okay.
But you're gonna like run and then tuck and roll forward. So go ahead and make your quick roll.
Okay. Trying to make the movement as not. Hey!
There you go. Yeah. So you have that rightmost or the leftmost gun spooling up and firing, and that line of bullets that you can't like see the bullets flying in the air, at least not perfectly, but you can hear the ripping and like shredding of metal as it is just boring into the walls and ceiling. You run underneath that line of like the hail of gunfire and start running forward. The left gun, or sorry, God, I'm getting these backwards. The rightmost gun starts to spool up and turn back to you. JJ is now basically home free. This gun starts to turn, and as it's turning onto you and spinning up, it opens fire, and like very, very quickly, you take the piece of metal that you had ripped off the wall, you put that, like grab it with your arm and kind of hold onto the curved edge, and then jump forward, and you, like, as you're flying through the air, the bullets start spooling up. You manage to leap over what is the start of a hail of gunfire, and as you fall back to the ground, there's glass everywhere, but you have that metal shield, the like impromptu shield. So you land on the ground with a hard, very loud, like clanging thud, but you skid along the broken glass, and it shears up some of your pants, and you get a couple of cuts and scrapes on your legs and your shoulders as like there's just chaos happening. But you manage to avoid the gunfire, and I will give them only one last opportunity to shoot you as you are leaving. They miss. So like the guns have just started opening fire, chasing after you. It's very much a case of shooting where you are rather than where you will be. And that, like, you can see as you roll up to the side, like free from the no man's land of in front of the window, the viewing window. There's like all over this area, there are streaks of gunfire where the gun was aiming and chasing after you, and just destruction in its wake. But you made it. You're on the other side. And for the most part, you are unscathed. You just have cosmetic damage.
Yeah. Keep going through. Get back to the elevator.
Yeah. So you get up.
Of course, being careful of any other turrets, potentially.
Yeah. So JJ, like, reaches down and helps, like, grabs Lockhart by the shoulder and kind of tries to heave you up. He's like, hustling over to the door, which I don't think you guys closed the red door. You just, like, opened it and then left it open and kept going.
Yeah.
So you jump through the red door, and you can see that down this hallway here, there is a turret in the corner. What would effectively be like here, but it is not fully deployed. You can see the barrels. It's more deployed than the one like on the floor here was, but the barrels are still like kind of stuck behind or stuck into the ceiling a little bit. Like it can't quite get all the way open to shoot. It's probably safe to pass, but you can see that there's been a lot of maintenance that's not been done.
Mm.
But you round the corner with JJ, and you're running back down through these like very, very otherwise clean-looking hallways in this sort of spacey laboratory, and you get back to the elevator and just hit the button. Nothing. No light. No response.
Wonderful.
JJ just blinks at it and looks. There is a stairwell.
Yep.
He looks at the stairwell and then looks at Lockhart and he just goes, 20 floors of stairs.
As long as there's no turrets, we shouldn't need to rush.
It's gonna be something. And he walks over to the door and then grabs the handle and rips the door open.
Lockhart will take point on this, on starting to head up the stairs.
Okay. So you dive in and start rounding the stairwell first. And this is a square stairwell. It's pretty tight. But you're basically running in like run up like 10 to 15 feet of stairs and then turn and then run up 10 to 15 feet of stairs and then turn and then run up 10 to 15 feet of stairs. And it is just these hard right turns. You get probably 2 or 3 floors up. And after like a minute of just continuous running, JJ has started to slow down. It's a little tiresome. He's not the strongest runner, but he's still kind of keeping up. But you roll me a clever check with your threat assessment.
Okay.
Cool. So you're running up the stairs and there's still many, many floors to go. If you want to step off on a particular floor, you can tell me. But otherwise, I'm just assuming you're running.
When, like, Lockhart's not gonna go super far ahead of JJ, she's gonna stay, like, maybe 1 or 2 swirls, like walls, I guess, you know, like,
Yeah.
one flight, the next kind of thing.
Yeah.
But still, say if you know, you need a break, we could probably hide off in some kind of room, some kind of office.
He is still struggling up the stairs and panting after you saying, like, don't worry about me. I'll get there eventually. God, I knew this fucking was a bad idea. Fucking hate these buildings. And he heaves up the last couple steps and is catching up to you. But as you say that and take this brief moment to check on him, you hear a door somewhere above or below you slam. I should clarify. You hear a door somewhere above or below you slam open, as though something had kicked the door in.
Oh boy.
And it sends echoes up and down this big chamber.
Can I get a guesstimate on that, or no?
I will let you roll a clever check plus your threat assessment to get a vague sense of direction as to whether it's above or below you.
Yeah.
Okay. So you hear that, and then JJ stops, and you stop. And there's this moment where you're both just like, oh shit. The alarm's still going off, but you don't hear it in this, stairwell. But the lights are still going. This there are the red and white flashes. That slam of a door is followed by the sound of, like, bending and whirring, almost like turrets, but the cadence is different. It's obviously distant and harder to hear. You can't really tell which direction it's coming from. The acoustics in this room are just all over the place.
Okay. She'll look to JJ and just kind of like a emotion of try and be quiet kind of thing. And she'll kind of whisper, I'll try and get a flight or two ahead.
You can't quite see his face. It's a little hard to make out his facial expressions with the flashing of the lights, but you can tell he's nodding, and he brings the shotgun to bear, and is holding it in a more closer to a firing position, but is still hurrying up the steps as best as he can. He's not that quiet. You can tell he's not really trying to be super sneaky because he wants to hurry. But if you want him to be dead silent,
not
can't.
dead silent, but it's more of like, so we can get an angle on where this thing is before it gets an angle on us, kind of thing.
Mm-hmm.
So it's trying to not be too echoey is kind of the goal.
Gotcha. Okay, that's easy enough. Yeah, so his movements are not too super echoey right now, and you want to run up ahead of him.
Yeah, and on top of that too, like she'll say, "Conserve your energy. You might need to run later." So she'd rather him go slower currently.
Okay. He just understands, nods, and he takes a second, scoots over to the handrail of the stairs, and leans over. And you're about three-ish floors up from the bottom. And he looks down, and you can see him starting to scan as he's looking below. It's difficult to see anything because the lights don't make it easy as they flash asynchronously. So it's almost like an airport landing strip where you see the bottom lights flash, and then the next floor and the next floor and the next floor and the next floor, and it makes this strobe the entire stairwell of a light stream going bottom to top.
Mm-hmm.
JJ is looking down, and you can see him. You're not sure if he sees anything, but he is trying to scan from the lower floors, so you can scan the upper floors.
Yeah.
All while you are hearing this mechanical whirring that sounds like it's a lot faster paced, but you don't see turrets. How far ahead are you going?
He's only gonna go up one flight, one full floor, at a time. She does want to stay somewhat close to him, in case she needs to run back down.
Okay. So, but you're gonna go ahead and just create that gap, but continue moving upwards with him.
Yeah.
Okay. So you start moving upwards again, and you're still deep in the bowels of this place. You get another floor or two up, and that whirring noise is starting to be accompanied by what sounds like stomping, and it's getting closer and closer and closer. And after a point, you stop, and you can hear that it's definitely close now. You haven't seen anything yet, but it's probably very, very close, if right around the corner or maybe directly above you from the steps, somewhere that it's not precisely visible yet. But I will give you this opportunity to do anything different, unless you want to just charge ahead.
Is there a door on the level she's at currently?
Yeah. There is a door. This would be effectively the 14th, 15th level-ish.
Okay. And I crack the door to see if there is a turret on that side.
You can easily see that as you run up to the door, poking your head, there is a little window area that actually is like a typical office door. There's that little rectangular window, and you walk up to it and just peer through that window, the hallways are flashing with that strobe light, and in the darkness, the moments of darkness between the flash, you can see a red laser tracing up and down a hallway.
Okay. Okay, so the floors are not safe. Cool. So much for just normal office building, huh? Fuck, I don't have anything I can do here. Would be helpful. Okay. Looking at my inventory real quick.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, yeah, she'll. I mean, just kind of prep to ambush whatever this thing is, then. But I don't have anything else in my inventory right now. That'd be helpful here.
Okay. So you're not going to charge up the steps anymore, you're going to stop?
Yeah.
Okay. So you're stopping at basically level 15, and you're like looking up and down the steps ahead of you, waiting to see it, and after a good 30 seconds, that stomping becomes much more clear, and you see what looks to be like they're humanoid-ish shapes, but they're distinctly not human. They're just human-ish. There are things coming down the steps, and there are multiple things. And right at the moment you see them, you can't quite make out the shape of them precisely, but they're tall and they have long arms. They appear to have like slightly unusual shaped legs. They're not it's enough to know that they have 2 legs and 2 arms and a head. They don't seem to be carrying anything, but they're armored figures that in the flashes of white light, you can see that they are 2 in like white-ish, like an off-white type of plating and armor, and they're stomping down the steps. From behind you, you hear JJ like huffing up the stairs. He has caught up to you, and he sees you, and then looks up, and then you see the moment of like processing in his face as he starts to see something, and he like holds the shotgun up and he just goes, "Oh shit." Up ahead, you can see that as they turn the corner, there are 4 of these things. They look like this.
Aww.
You are fucked.
Thanks
Hi,
for the confidence.
Lockhart, you're gonna do amazing. You're gonna kick their asses.
So
Fun.
you see these drones of some kind stomp down the steps. They have 4 digits on the end of their hands, or the end of their arms. 4 like very square, bulky fingers that seem to like not fuse together, but you know how like in WALL-E, Eve her hand would separate out. It's like the fingers do that. They kind of like when put all together, they make a hard edge of metal, and when separated, they will bend and have a little bit more dexterity and be like an opposable digit. But they're around the corner, and you can see like the faceplate. There is very, very small, but now that you can see them, it's a lot easier to see. There's little lights on the faceplate, and all the little lights are red. Just 4 little dots that kind of hover around 7 feet high. They are quite tall. JJ like doesn't even look at you. You hear the like he slides his foot back and then gets into a firing position. And after about half a second, he just says, "Plug your ears," and you hear a as he pulls the trigger on this thing. Just doesn't even wait. He is just going to shoot at one of them.
Since Lockhart was kind of prepping for this, can I have her try and kick one over the railing?
Sure. Actually, yeah, since you were prepping for it, I'll give you the action before JJ gets an action.
Okay.
So you see these things come down. You dash up to them. They are big and a lot bulkier once you get up to face with them. They're because Lockhart's 6 feet tall-ish, so they're about a foot
Just under,
taller
yeah.
than Lockhart. And they're slightly wider. They have this sort of blocky, heavy-set bottom half with a like boxy middle portion. Go ahead and roll me your. I'll consider this a hand-to-hand attack because you're trying to like shove it over the edge.
Yeah.
$13. Okay. So you describe to me how you want to shove it over the edge.
So it looks like that middle bit, right, is like not as dent or like thick as the top and bottom bit, right?
The middle bit is like less armored
Yeah.
and heavy looking, yeah.
So my thoughts is push that against the railing so like it kind of hit like it edges in the indent to make it easier to like shove it into the indent so that it can be pushed down kind of and like kicked down. So it tips over essentially, becomes top heavy.
So you're trying to kick the middle portion so that it folds.
I'm trying to push it into the railing so that the top bit
Oh, I see.
holds it over the railing. Yeah.
Okay. Yeah.
Because it looks top
so-
heavy.
Yes. So I want to do this to give you like some sense. So if this is your kind of imperfect representation of a battle map,
Hmm.
you guys are running in this stairwell here.
Mhm.
This area all in here is just empty space for
Yeah.
the most part. There are beams that are going up to support, but yeah, this is the railing, and then this is obviously wall.
Yeah.
So
So she would be trying to like kick it this way, essentially. Like
Yeah.
hitch it on there and then drop it into the center.
cool. So you duck in underneath this first one. It like as you see it start to tromp down the sides, you dart up to it, and you kind of quickly assess like, okay, this thing's armored, but it's really heavy and it's kind of lopsided and wonky. So you get up like to the side of it, tuck yourself between
Overbash.
it and the wall, and then you jump up, put your hands against the solid wall behind you, and then push both feet to like the torso section. And you're not trying to kick it for damage, you're trying to kick it for distance.
Yeah.
So very quickly you push and it heaves in that direction. It's not super easy to off balance, but it will stumble and like it staggers a little bit towards the edge, and it will fall and hit the railing, and the railing bends. This railing is not meant to support the weight of these things. It doesn't fall over, but it falls and catches itself on the railing and is kind of holding itself there, and it's just bent over, and the other 3 behind it are like moving down, and they all see you and start to bear down on you.
Hmm.
But you haven't knocked it off, but you have knocked it so that it is barely holding on.
JJ's turn.
Yes, and then JJ sees this as like, oh shit. Like, it immediately swings the shotgun up and around and will take a shot at... He'll shoot the one that you knocked partially off.
Mhm.
So, it's very dark, mind you. Or not, like, dark, but the lighting is not great. So JJ lifts the gun and then fires, and you see, again, for, like, this is sort of in between the strobing of the emergency lights. It's like red, white, and then in between those moments, it's pretty dark, if not completely dark. And in one of those dark moments, the entire room is lit up with a fiery flash as the shotgun, like, explodes. And one of them, not the one that is on the railing, one of the, like, 3 that are still standing, gets hit in the torso, and you hear just the sound of tearing, crunching metal. It doesn't, like, die or explode, but the part of its chest, like, right about where, if this was a person, it would be like a liver shot, but like right around the like lower left portion of its torso, that round hits it. JJ fired a slug rather than like buckshot or like a normal shotgun pellet round. It's just a solid chunk of metal that has bored into the side of this thing and twisted it. And it hit it with enough force to like knock it on its ass almost. And it throws it back down. And before we go further, let's roll for initiative.
Okay.
Now you're getting initiative?
It's just 2d6, yeah.
It's 2d6 plus your quick plus whatever bonuses you have to initiative, if you have any.
Okay.
Okay. JJ's going last. You rolled 11?
Yep.
Cool.
And I can use leave them to me for this.
You can, you just have to tell JJ to leave you behind. You are up first, though, because these robots are very slow, and so is JJ.
I can actually be assisted by one NPC.
So, wait. So you're going to leave them to me, but keep JJ.
Well, I'm more for him to defend himself kind of thing.
Mm-hmm.
But I'm looking at the rules. You said that you may be assisted by a single NPC if applicable. But
Sorry, go ahead.
she'll say, essentially, take care of yourself, I'll deal with this.
Okay. I'll think that'll work. I think that's fair. So, you say that, like, JJ looks at you and just goes, "What are you, nuts?" And then looks up at these things. What are you doing with your turn? Because you have the bonuses.
I'm gonna kick again, or like try and shoulder bash this one off the railing. That getting one of these things out of the way would be really good.
Mm-hmm. Okay, go for it. You don't have to move or anything. You can just roll to, like, shove it. And then you have
Okay.
one more thing you can do on your turn.
Okay. And would that be quick or tough to shove?
Tough.
Tough.
You're brute force in this.
Okay, and I get a +3. I think that's it. Oh, bare bones.
Mm-hmm.
That is not second. Oh!
Because you're just trying to, like, shoulder check it.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. So you, like, take a step back and kind of catch your footing, and you jump up. With the one that JJ shot, like, reeling, you are able to take just enough time to prep yourself, and you rear back and lunge forward and hit, like, the one that is barely hanging on. You check it right in the chest, like right underneath, but in that like kind of narrow stomach area and the bulky upper half of it, and you feel like your arms ring with pain. It hurts to just tackle these metal hefty things, but you're also not trying to, like, brute force damage it. You're trying to move it. So you hit it and then heave, and after a second you feel like the weight shift, and all of the resistance you're getting from pushing gives way. This thing is clambering to grab onto something, and you see it grab onto the railing, and it just falls, and that railing, you hear the skirt as it pulls, and the snaps. So the railing in the area you're fighting in is just completely gone, torn and twisted and ripped off, and this thing falls 5 stories, and you hear this huge crash of, like, hundreds of pounds of metal and steel colliding with solid concrete. You got one of them.
That's one down.
3 left. What you do now? You got one more turn. You got one more thing you can do.
Let's see. Can I try? Please? Can I try to see if there's any exposed areas, like wiring or any type of less armored areas, I guess?
Sure, if you want to use your action to use threat assessment to, like, gauge. Are you looking for places to hit, or?
Yes. Places
Okay.
to hit, particularly with the disruptor. Because
Sure.
I'm assuming these things are EMC.
You are okay. So go ahead and roll threat assessment. I will let you roll, and you can use tough to roll with it because you are looking for a place to hit. Okay. So with 14, you are sizing up the one that JJ shot. The armor plating, so you can immediately tell that the arms, shoulders, legs, and torso, as well as, like, where its neck and head would be, they're all very, very heavily plated in armor. These things are probably completely bulletproof from most angles. You could see, like, a couple of weak spots behind the legs where the joints, they have specific joints put in so that they're more mobile and they have more points of articulation. But those are the weakened areas. It would be like the armpits or in the groin, around, like, where the joint would connect to the hip. Those are the areas that have the least shielding. But they also have they're still durable to an extent because they are exposed, and that is sort of part of the design. But those are the most weak areas. The only other areas you could imagine would be probably around the neckline, back of the head, maybe. Its head is freestanding, or not freestanding, but like it's kind of got like a collar, like an armor collar around its neck. And if you were to get your hands under there, you could probably hurt it, but it'd be a tight squeeze. It'd be hard to get your hand under there.
Yeah.
But yeah, groin and elbow, or not elbow, groin and armpit are where the weakest spots are in terms of amount of shielding.
Gotcha.
Okay. Is that all for your turn?
That's all the actions, so yeah.
Cool. So it will be... this one is gone. So it'll be robot, robot, JJ, and then robot. So the robot that was shot is going to stand up. And you can see that the armor, the torso plate, has been pulled and twisted around the slug. The slug, it did stop the slug. It's just a matter of, like, how many more is it going to take before that, like, armor plate is ripped off with it. The single slug that JJ shot at it just really, really dug into it and pulled a lot of the armor into a weird place. It's, like, warped. But it's going to lurch forward. It kind of in the same way that the like Imperial droid units do in like when they reach for Cal in Jedi Survivor. It just lurches forward with both hands extended towards you, Lockhart, and it's going to try to grab you.
Right.
What is your tough defense?
13.
The fact that we're
13.
using Star Wars as descriptors is very amusing.
So this thing lurches forward, and like one hand comes from the left and one hand comes from the right, and it doesn't quite get there. You're able to like you push both your arms out and catch it not by the wrist, but its extended forearms. So you're kind of having to redo your mental math because you're used to fighting people, and this thing has different proportions than a person. So where you reach to block it and try to grab for a wrist, you instead find forearm. But you're at least stopping it from grappling you. And with its arms extended and failing to actually grab onto you, it takes a step forward and is like closing the distance. It is now completely on, like, basically pressed right up against you and is going to try to shove you into the wall. It's not quite successful though. It's just like blocking your vision. So now you can see you're like face to face with this thing that's a foot taller than you and probably easily 120 pounds or more of just raw machinery pressing down on your arms. The other robot is going to go, and it's going to try and grab you as well. These robots are not designed with guns so much as they're all rolling like shit. This robot's going to step forward, and there we go. And your tough defense is 13?
Yeah. Oh wait. I get a +3 from leading to me. So 16.
Mm-hmm. You're right. Okay. So after this, like the second machine steps forward, and with the other one, it kind of can't get at you because the other one is kind of in the way. The stairwell's not super wide, so it's kind of like you've kind of worked it into a corner, even without intending to. So long as you're in this position, you can kind of fight them one-on-one.
Yeah.
But that other robot is literally not able to do much. And it is just kind of stuck there. JJ, meanwhile, is going to take another pot shot at the one behind the one that he had already shot.
Yeah. Deal with the ones behind.
Like, while you're holding back this one, pressing, like, pushing the robot arms out, trying to keep it off of you, you hear another, like, as the shotgun lets off another round, and this one it's like, you don't see it, but you hear what sounds like tearing and shearing of metal, and there's just more sparking and like the lighting of something that has been torn. So something on a robot is broken and causing sparks to make like flickering lights, like near, not like the building is flickering, but like the actual lights on the robot are like sparking. But that will be JJ's turn, and then the last robot is also kind of stuck, but it's going to try. It will also try to grab Lockhart, even though it can't really reach anyone else. Okay. Yeah. So as you're like kind of holding the one robot's arms at bay, you're feeling your arms, like your muscles are burning. It's like fighting a workout machine that is just increasing the weight. But you're able to maneuver yourself a little bit to keep it just out of reach, so you're not quite at the mercy of multiple robots at once. But it is your turn again. You have this current robot, the first one that JJ had shot, bearing down on you.
So I'm essentially kind of like in this corner right here, kind of thing, with it pushing me against the wall.
Yes. It would be facing this way, and you would be facing this way.
Okay. Well, I mean, second time's the charm. Yes. Second verse, same as the first. Try and slip a leg under one of its things and push again. Like, kind of how I imagine is like she slips a leg under and then kind of not, because like it's trying to grab her, right? So I imagine she kind of like balls up a bit and like kind of push it, like lets go real quick and balls up and pushes at its center.
Mm-hmm. Okay.
Kind of ballsy move, but
yeah. And you're rolling tough with your.
Yeah.
Gotcha.
Sorry. Oof.
Oh no. So that is still a really good roll. I will say that you are able to push it back and get it like further back towards the railing. But you're not able to push it off balance. You try to get a leg behind it, but its feet are basically like platforms. It is like kind of a almost like a construction machine where these flat treads are just kind of stomping around on the ground. It's not easy to trip, even though it is somewhat top heavy, because it has so much weight on the bottom as well. But just out of sheer might, you are able to shove it backwards. But this does leave you exposed from the back.
Hmm.
Are you gonna try again?
Yeah. Let's see. I'll try and push at its joint, I guess, to get one
Push
of its
at its joint?
at its like hip area, that little joint,
Okay.
to try and get one of the legs off the platform, I guess.
Yeah, trying
Or
to
the
push
stairwell.
your. So I will tell you, the joints are weak to being hit. Like
Oh,
pushing
okay.
on the joint is not like
Alright, then yeah, I'll attack it then.
okay. I wanted that to be clear because like it's not armored as much there, but like
Mhm.
pushing there you won't get like more bang for your buck because it's just you're just pushing on it still.
Mhm.
But striking there, if you want to strike it in like the groin of its leg,
Yeah.
yeah, you can nutshot the robot.
Not quite a nut shot.
Not quite a nutshot.
Okay, maybe it is a nut shot.
Okay, so are you using the gauntlet?
Yeah, why not?
Okay. So with the gauntlet, you like rear back, and through the strobing lights, the gauntlet like sparks to life, and there's it has a notably blue tinge to the sparks that come off of it, and it ignites for half a second, and you reach forward, go straight for like the right side of like where the hip and leg conjoin, and you aren't punching so much as you're like striking with your like palm because it is metal, but you don't need to really like punch to break it with force because you're able to hit it with the gauntlet. So when you hit that joint, let me see. I need to read the gauntlet again because it's been too long since I've looked at it.
I can send it to you if you'd like.
Please do.
Ding, no. And there's two Joe.
Cool. Okay. Yeah, so you hit the joint at the leg, and there's this moment where you're not sure if anything happened, but you're holding onto it, and you can feel the robot start to list to one side, and as you take a step back, it starts to keel over on like all of its weight is now teetering over and backwards. I'll roll just a luck roll. Okay. So this one, with the gauntlet paralyzing its leg, it's basically like a tower of cinder blocks that's been propped up with like a block of wood. The leg that is turned off retains all of the weight behind it, but it has no control over any sort of stabilizing part of the leg. So it's just been balancing on that just out of sheer hope, really. And once it turns off, it has no way to correct for Lockhart pushing against it. So you can feel it is like completely at the mercy of your movement now. But that is all you can do for your turn, isn't it?
Yep.
Okay. Then it's going to be this robot's turn. Let me make this mark. You can see as its leg starts to short, that there's in the darkness the little pips of light where its head is start to kind of look around, and it's not like, obviously this robot is not intelligent enough to have emotions, but if a panicked robot looking around, if anything, this is a panicked look around, like something's wrong. Something is not behaving as it should. As its head starts to scan, it's going to try to just strike you. It'll like lift up an arm and just bring it down directly on top of your head. It is basically giving up on trying to maneuver you now. And your tough defense went up. It's 16?
Yep.
Okay. So it lifts its arm up, and you hear like the like threatening just as it lifts. But as it does, you're able to kind of shift your weight a little bit, so it starts to tilt, and it goes from holding its hand above your head to strike you. Its arm reaches back down and grabs at what remains of the twisted and bent railing nearby, like holding on to keep itself from falling over. But it's gonna try again, because that's all it can do. It's hoping to hit you somehow. There we go. One clean hit. As it's holding on to a bent and twisted piece of metal railing. This is mostly an unrailed area. You're pushing it up against nothing. Like the railing is. Let me see here. Like this railing would be like this, kind of bent and pulled off. But it's holding on to this, like basically that strand of it. And it adjusts its grip and kind of holds onto it. It having no real option left because one of its arms is being held by you and the other arm is keeping it from falling. It just tilts its head back and headbutts you. And you it fucking hurts. It is a metal machine. It suffers no repercussions from a headbutt. Between two people, nobody wins a headbutt, but between a robot and a person loses.
Ow!
It fucking rings your bell. But you will take one wound.
Type of wound? Is it a minor?
It would be a minor wound.
Okay.
Okay, and then the second robot is going to go. It will step up to grab onto you, and it is, well, it's not going to grab onto you. It's going to reach up and try to. No, you know what? It is going to try to pull you off of its comrade effectively. They're still trying to restrain you.
Mm-hmm.
8. Okay. That is 16? Exactly 16?
Yep.
That is your defense, right?
That is my defense, yeah.
Hey, so this thing takes like 2 steps forward. This one, you can see now that the sparking and a little bit of flashing you saw, part of its shoulder was torn off. So the little, like the shoulder pauldron, where on the left side of it has been sheared completely off, probably from a slug that JJ fired, hitting it and kind of not really glancing, but the armor just like was ripped away with the slug. Its shoulder is exposed, kind of leaving more joint open, but its arm still works. And speaking of arms, it will reach down and, like a bear hug, grab you, bodily lifting you off the ground. And JJ's going to try to shoot the one that's barely hanging on again, because he's securing the kills. That's the way to think of it. Holy shit!
There is no KSing when it comes to life or death.
You hear, like, as you are lifted up bodily, you have a very good view of this as, like, your ears are ringing with the sound of, like, metal and echoed gunshots and the alarm that has still been going off this whole time. There's so much noise, and you can feel that is going to be, or that it is going to be just a hellish migraine that will fall upon you later. But as you are hoisted like a few, like 2 feet into the air, the robot that's holding onto that railing and is almost over the edge completely is starting to adjust itself to pull itself upright, and then there's this bright flash, and it's like part white, part red, as another shotgun round hits it like across the middle of its torso, almost right in the same spot it had been hit before, but this time shearing across it, and the inertia carries it over the edge, and it just sails off the railing.
2 down.
That one's dead.
This is working out pretty well.
Tis. And then the last one. This last one walks. You're again privy to a good spot or good seat, as this robot that's holding you is kind of leaning backwards. The robot that was all the way in the back walks past you and goes straight for JJ. And
JJ!
JJ is not nearly as tough as you. You look over and you see this robot. It doesn't even try to grab him. It just cocks back an arm and, like a sledgehammer, throws a punch, which JJ just barely ducks under. You don't hear it because your ears are ringing from all of the chaos and gunshots that have been happening. You see him mouth the word like "oh shit," and he ducks as a left hook from this robot comes in and collides into the wall, like sinking about like a couple inches into the concrete, making not like a sledgehammer crater, more of like it's almost like a pickaxe, because as its hands are pinched together, it makes a sheer knife like sharp edged surface, and it swings an uppercut with its right, which hits JJ square in the stomach.
Ooh.
And you can see all of the color drain from his face. It's your turn again.
Okay. How can I get out of this? I don't have any special ways or thoughts in mind on how to, but I want to get out of this grapple.
Mm-hmm. Okay. You could try to, like, slip out. You could...
Could I try forcing its arms open to get, like, room to move out?
You could. It would be hard. If you want to just, like, brute force, try to push open its arms, it would be like trying to open a bear trap with your bare hands. Which, I mean, if anyone could do it, it could be Lockhart.
I feel... Yeah.
I feel like Lockhart uses like bear traps as like little like hand gripping strengtheners.
I will say that you could try to brute force push the arms open. If you want to do that, it would just be straight tough roll. I don't know. I think you could use the glove again.
I can use the glove on each enemy once, essentially.
Correct. You could try the glove.
Oh, I know. Like, it has me in a bear hug, right? So my hands are technically around where its legs would be.
Correct.
Grip onto that joint again and shock it.
Yeah, go for it. So roll as if you were going to roll to hit.
Okay.
Did you roll yet?
Yeah. 1-1.
Oh, sorry. I guess it didn't. Oh, I was scrolled up. Sorry. Okay. Cool. With a 21, yeah, you have no issue with, like, you maneuver a little bit. Like, from where you're bear hugged, your arms are extended all the way out. So all you have to do is kind of shimmy a little bit, and you're not, like, were this a person, this would be considered inappropriate, but it's not a person. So you just kind of grope around the groin area of this robot until you feel the soft nodule of its joint. And once you grab onto where the leg connects to the hip, you discharge the glove, and like it's weird with your back to it because you see the light emanate around you. It's almost like when you open the fridge in the middle of the night and the light just cascades over your face, except you were standing facing the other direction. So you grab the part of its joint, and just blue like waves wash over around you, and you can see it from like spilling out over your shoulders and from your back. And you can feel the robot, like there's a kind of tilt in its movement. It doesn't fall over, but once again you start feeling like the head, you can feel the head movement of the robot as it starts to like try to assess what's wrong, because something is not functioning. What are you doing? You have one more action.
I mean, I guess lean back into it.
What are you trying to do?
Knock it, basically fall on top of it so it falls on its back. And
Okay.
trying to get to knock it over to get out of its grasp. It is the goal here. I'd like to
Okay.
help JJ, but I don't think I can do that this turn.
So, if you're trying to just knock it over, I would say roll a tough check. Just a straight tough check. Because it's kind of like
Yeah, it wouldn't
less
be
of
an
a
attack.
strike, more of like a bodily grappling maneuver.
I think bare bones would still tie for this though, but I wouldn't get the melee stats and leave it to me.
Use bare bones +2 on toughness rolls. Yeah.
Okay.
Cool. So, actually, I think you would not technically. So you try to rock back and get it off balance, and you feel it start to tip, and like the weight of this robot. You're facing the ledge right now. You can see over the edge and the rest of the stairwell. So you're trying to get it to fall backwards.
Yeah.
And as you list back and forth, trying to shake it to get it to fall over, it falls back, and then you feel like this like drop, almost like you're about to go into free fall, and you're like, cool, I did it, and then it catches itself. You feel the robot's weight shift and just as its leg catches the other leg it has, and it's leaning on its bad leg. So it's propped up partially against the wall behind it. It's still upright though. This robot, since you have damaged its leg, is going to just squeeze you like a vice grip.
If I can, during my turn, tell JJ to run.
You can. Go for it. You tell JJ to, like, fucking run or book it.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, JJ, you can see through the different flashes of white and red alarm light, JJ looks like he's about to vomit. The thing punched him in the gut. And you're not certain, but you think you see, like, a little bit of blood on its hand. Because it punched with an edge. But if he's still upright, JJ's still not unconscious. He probably heard you. He didn't really give you an affirmative.
Mm-hmm.
He is bent over at the waist, and this robot is pulling its arms together, and you feel this like tight squeeze start to happen. You are getting constricted, and you'll take one minor wound of damage as its arms bring in tighter and tighter, and you are feeling the armored weight of both forearms bear down on your ribs, and it's pulling you against its like weird torso shape, which is kind of pushing your back against it too. JJ that'll be its turn. That's all it can do, really, because it can't move. JJ is going to try to... what can JJ do? Because he's in a bad way. Yeah, you know what? He is, like, still upright, still fighting. There's a little bit of water in his eyes from pain, but he grabs the shotgun and stumbles forward. He's not able to hold it and hold it up to fire it. You can see that he is moving and he is bleeding. It punched him in the gut, effectively stabbing him. And he runs past it. These robots aren't incredibly fast, but they are very durable and very strong. JJ will move up the stairway, and he is going to turn around. He'll sit on his butt, sit all the way down on the ground, and prop himself, his body and shoulder up against the concrete, and stick the butt of the gun against the stair, so that he can aim it. You can see from this angle, JJ he's probably gonna need some help after this, but he's still good for now. That one hit took effectively two wounds out of him instead of just one.
Mm.
But he is going to aim the shotgun at the one that's holding you. And for a second, it looks like JJ is just aiming at you. But you know better than that.
Hopefully.
You can see, he's aiming and the shotgun wavers a little bit and starts to wiggle, and then he braces it with his arm and it's still wobbly, and he's just taking so long to line up the shot, and his eye is twitching. The fatigue, or not fatigue, the exertion he's already done of running up the steps, plus getting gut shot as he did, has started to take its toll on his ability to aim steadily. And he wants to shoot this robot that's holding you to try and free you, but he hesitates because he doesn't trust himself to not hit you. His aim is wavering too much. So he loses his turn because it's effectively a miss.
Hmm.
Then the last robot is going to go. And it's going to walk past you again and go after JJ. And it's just going to grab the gun. Yeah. It reaches down and grabs the gun and just yanks it out of JJ's hands. And with ungodly robot strength, it takes the gun and just bends it in half until it just snaps and cracks. Like, you hear the cracking and bending of, like, plastic pieces and metal as it snaps it in two and throws it over the edge. And as your ears stop ringing after however long it's been, the few seconds it's been, you can hear JJ just go, "Damn, that was expensive." It's your turn again, Lockhart. JJ is out of options. It seems.
Okay, what can I do here? I'm just gonna try and brute force my way out, I guess.
You still got prep.
Oh yeah, that's true. Forgot about that. That's important.
Bruh.
Let me think. Yeah, I was gonna say, like, isn't one of the things you can do is like use prep to put an item in the game, essentially?
Yeah. That is technically a thing you can do. I would discourage you from doing that because I think that it would be very weird for Lockhart to have a shotgun. But
No,
I can't
I wasn't,
tell
I
you
wasn't,
no.
No, I wasn't gonna say that.
Fair.
I have an idea if it's okay.
Shoot.
But my thoughts here is when I get out of the grapple, could I essentially use the frickin' one of the poles of the like loose bits of pole as a weapon to try and help here?
Yeah, like grab part of the railing and snap it off to make like an improvised bat.
Yeah.
Yeah, you can do that. 100%.
If I can get out, which I'm going to use prep to get out, or like to boost my roll.
Yeah. Go for it. Roll. This is your tough check plus your bare bones.
Could I actually try and tilt this thing into the robot, like sideways instead of back?
Yeah, you could try to tilt it. So you would be pushing and tilting it onto its bad leg, which is at a weird angle, but if you managed to do it, it wouldn't have a way to catch itself. It would just go down.
Well, I was trying to push it into the other robot, essentially.
Yeah.
Okay.
I see. I got you.
Domino effect. Yeah. Okay, I'll do that. Would that just be the tough and bare bones again?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. And this doesn't count as an attack, so
Correct.
let's do this. What's with the low rolls?
225. Okay. So you heave and see if this thing can hold on to you.
I don't know if this would count or not.
Mm-hmm.
Double checking this. Because I'm trying to do this to help JJ, would bodyguard count here? To defend the character? Get a +1?
Anytime you act in defense I will say. I will say that you technically are acting in defense of JJ, because now he is defenseless. So sure, you can have the +1 from bodyguard. So that would make
Cool.
it a 16.
Yes.
Okay. Then with a 16, you're kind of scrambling and wriggling to get some purchase on something, and then you think about it and you're like, okay, his arms are up here, but he doesn't have any sort of, this robot doesn't have any sort of substance like to the inner tight sides of its torso. So you bring your legs up and then push your legs out backwards and kind of kick in reverse and push against the wall, which is what it was using to balance itself. So you push it away from the wall, and as it comes forward, you can hear the foot it's starting to try and balance itself on, but it's teetering on its other leg. And kind of like if you were like balancing on a piece of wood, as soon as you get too close to where that wood is basically like straight up, its leg is now like all of the weight is resting on top of it. And you just push it a little bit past that tipping point and it starts to go. You feel the weight lift and surge over the edge. And you start to fall face first, Lockhart, towards the other robot. You are going to collide with it. So, you know, upside. As you tip the robots forward,
Mentally bracing.
yeah, like mentally bracing yourself for the impact of this thing as you see very, very rapidly the broadside of this robot's back like rocketing towards your face. There is a very, very loud donk noise of your head hitting metal. And at first you're like, "Ooh, man, what was that noise? That's weird," and you externalize it. It has like knocked you completely senseless. There is a heaving crash. It sounds like a washing machine falling down a set of stairs. As one robot tumbles into the other, you are not pinned underneath one, thankfully, but you have a wildly bad like head wound, and like your left eye is completely covered in blood. You will take 2 wounds. And the robot that was holding onto you has let go. It is now completely prone on its face. And the other robot has been knocked face down as well. So one of them is sitting well, they're both kind of sitting face first. And JJ is like looking at you, also with this kind of half-lidded stare of like exhaustion. You can see that the wound in his gut he's kind of holding it. There's blood on his fingers and blood throughout his shirt. It's about like not quite in the middle of his stomach. It's like a kidney shot. So it probably missed something incredibly important. So he's not internally bleeding to a bad degree yet. This is not a lethal wound. It could be if left unattended, but not yet. It is not lethal yet. Was that your only action?
That was the first one, right?
Yeah, that was your first action, so you have one more.
That was a good bang for the buck. Oh! The other one's also knocked down too, right?
Correct.
I am, like, it's knocked down. I'm gonna go straight for the head. You said behind the head is like, behind the head
so
in the neck area.
So, like,
disruptor it.
yeah, you reach over, and like being in the position you're in, you like scramble up to get on top of this other one before it can right itself, and its head its head and neck area, you can see that once you get close and kind of climb on the top of its back, it's sort of like a shell, almost like a turtle shell, where there's like this collar that comes up and protects a more mobile neck joint so that it can turn its head. And you just stick your hand in that small crack between the collar area and the head and grip. And once you grab, like you squeeze like a vice, just all of your frustration on these stupid metal machines taken out with one like intense vice-like grip. And the joints have this sort of rubbery padding on them. It is durable and meant to keep things like from shuffling around so wires and things don't get caught. And when you squeeze on that rubber padding, well, it's not actually rubber, but when you squeeze on that like that padding area, you actually kind of feel like the joint of the neck underneath it, and you grip your hands on that, and it's about as thick as a baseball bat, meant to be better for maneuvering so that it can look in multiple directions very quickly. But you grip around it and zap, and the head just goes limp and it just sinks to the ground. The arms are still moving, but the head is done.
So it can't. I assume
See.
you can't tell where we are. Yeah, see us.
Yeah, you have disabled its sensory input. Or at least its primary mode of input. Like,
Yeah.
all of the sensory equipment is in the head, because this is designed to be human-ish, but not perfectly human. But the head of the actual machine, like, that's where the actual, like, a lot of the telemetry data is being processed, where it's, like, able to figure out where it is. And you just shut it off. And so the arms and legs still move. It's not dead. It just can't figure out where it is. So its arms are kind of just scrambling around, grabbing on things. But you've disabled the head. It's going to flail wildly, because it is its turn now. You can see, like, it's just kind of smashing and thrashing about. The arms, they are swinging with an, like, exaggerated amount of force. It swings its arm up and around and down onto the concrete stair and just grips, and concrete crushes underneath its fingers. And it swings its arm around again and grabs onto the railing and starts to pull, and parts of the railing come loose. It like peels more of the railing apart, so like the little bars that hold the handrail up are now disjointed from the actual handrail itself. It is just making a mess, but it doesn't hit you. The other... no, it's JJ's turn. JJ he needs to make a roll to stay upright, and he succeeds, so he's good. JJ sees that robot like smashing and thrashing, just destroying things, trying to get at the people who it can't see anymore. JJ gets up, and he is going to reach down and grab Lockhart by like the collar, right around the collar or the shoulder area, and he is going to drag you up the stairs. He is not the strongest man, but he has a lot of weight behind him. So he is just... And it's also not very comfortable. Like, you are 100% concussed. Your head is pounding. And there's blood in your vision. And you can look up and see JJ has just... Like, he has his left hand over his tummy. And he's hunched over. He has not stopped hunching this entire time. Not since that thing hit him in the gut. But he is... His other fist is balled up in your suit and just yanking you up the stairs. and he is going to spend his entire turn dragging you up and away from these things.
Walker
So you
doesn't
are-
resist.
It's not comfortable, but you know what? You do make a good couple of steps. You're not super far away because it's kind of hard to drag someone up concrete stairs after you've been stabbed in the gut. But you know what? He's doing it. He's doing his best. He has nothing else he can think to really do to help. But behind you, that other robot, the one with the disabled leg, it is like on its stomach. The head tilts upright, and you can see all four of the little red dots that are essentially its eyes lock onto you. And with both arms, they make like they go into a push-up position, but they don't push and lift the torso up all the way. They push and lift it a few inches off the ground, and then it starts to crawl towards you, dragging its legs behind it in this like crab walk kind of way. And each grip, like each fist it brings forward, pounds into the concrete, and it just like reaches up and then reaches up, and it's crawling up after you surprisingly fast, given that its arms are so long. It's going to get just close enough that it can strike you next turn. But it's not going to strike you now. It's just as fast as JJ is having dragged you. But it's your turn, Lockhart. This robot is like crawling after you like a zombie with no legs.
Is the other robot in the way at all?
No, it's able to like maneuver around it, and that
Okay.
that robot is kind of done. It's
Yeah,
kind of just
can't
flailing
move.
around.
Yeah.
It certainly can move, but it can't stand up because it can't figure out where it is.
Yeah.
But this robot is crawling on both hands, and its eyes are dead locked on you.
And I honestly, we could just run, right?
Yeah,
Yeah, just fucking. We dealt with it mostly.
yeah. You could just fucking run. It's not gonna get an attack of opportunity.
Yeah, I'm gonna get moving with JJ.
Cool. So you, like, kind of come to your senses, and you see that this robot is very close to looming over you with its claws poised to try and strike. And you roll over onto onto all fours and scramble upright and get an arm underneath JJ and start heaving him upwards now, because he's moving a little slow, but you're managing to get him up and going. But you're moving him now. This robot is too slow to keep up with you. Now that you're both on your feet moving, it won't be able to catch up. Not with dragging its full weight behind it.
Mm.
And you're just continuing up the stairs as normal?
Yeah.
Cool.
Get the fuck out of here.
Yeah, and as you go up flight after flight, you can hear, like, after each floor or so, it is painful getting up these flights of stairs. At a certain point, your legs start to burn so badly that you want to just, like, collapse onto the ground and take a nap. It is just sheer exhaustion, muscle exhaustion, and, like, a bit of blood loss, like, head trauma. It is
Lots of head trauma.
lots of head trauma. But the adrenaline pumping through your system is keeping you going. And after you get a few more floors up,
After like a floor or two, I will give JJ the hypo I have.
there you go. Okay.
Yeah, that'll help.
Yes. So you pull out an air hypo. JJ takes it and just like, oh, good. And he takes a hit of the air hypo, and you can see like the color kind of come back to his face. His eyes light up a little bit, and he's still bleeding. It doesn't patch the wound, but he immediately has more energy and starts just sprinting up the stairs almost.
Yeah.
He's still holding one hand over his wound, but he is able to stand more upright. And you get about 2 or 3 or 4 more floors up, and the distance seems to grow, and you're feeling good about it. You're over the halfway point at this like now, and you hear another set of doors just start to slam. But this time, more than certain, it's below you. But you hear multiple doors open, as presumably more of these robots start to scramble outwards from wherever they were amongst the maze-like structure of this tower. But you keep running. You get all the way up until the second floor from the sub-level, which I don't know which number that would be, because it would technically be like 2, but it's excluding like 0 because there's sub-level 1. It would be 2. Yeah, it would be 2. You get to sub-level 2. Never mind. But you get to the sub-level 2, like, the end of your stairway trek is in sight. And you look down below, and you can see it's a little difficult, but when the darkness in between the emergency lights comes on, or when the darkness is there and the emergency lights are not flashing for that brief moment, you see a bunch of tiny little red pips in the darkness coming up the steps.
Oh, fuck.
You can count at least maybe 40 red pips scattered around in a spiral into the dark. But you make it up to the first level, and all of this familiar stuff you see. The first floor, like the security checkpoint, all of the stuff is turned on. You walk back through the main lobby area where there was like a security scanning device. All of this is on now that the power is on. It's just the emergency lights have flared up. And as you walk up to the front, you can see that the front exit has been like shielded with some type of security door. JJ looks at it and then like blinks, and he is going to take a step forward, and he like reaches his, he puts a hand on your shoulder, Locker, and he just goes, "Do you have any more air hypos?"
No. No, I don't.
Okay. He's going to reach into his pocket, and he will pull out a very small knife. It is a nice knife, but that is it. And he's going to reach down and grab your hand, Lockhart, and just put the grip of the knife in your hand and close your hand around it. And he's going to look at you and be like, "I need 2 minutes." And he's going to hobble over to the door. And you can see as he's hobbling over to the door, his hand, his like one finger has a tool come out of it, and another finger has a tool come out of it. And he like posts up at the door and starts like scrambling with the lock somehow.
Let's do this.
There is a lot of stressful silence, but you hear like the crashing and stomping and whirring of so many robot legs. Is there anything you wanted to do before shit hits the fan?
There's a computer here, right?
Mm-hmm. There is.
Computer. Trying to remember all the things that were in this room.
So there's the front desk. There's a couple of clipboards and papers and check-in station stuff. There's the security room where they had like a security scanning equipment. They had the computers where they would monitor security cameras, but you took the hard drive out of it.
Yeah. Fuck it. There are some monitors and shit, yeah?
Yeah, like computer monitors, yeah.
Yeah, okay, cool. Those are blunt objects, and they're heavy.
Yes, they are.
So I'm gonna grab as many of those and, like, put them in a pile. And, like, find a position that I can just kind of more easily defend.
Yeah, so the front, like the actual front lobby area, there is a choke point. You cannot get to the elevators or the stairwell without going through the security checkpoint, which has basically it's sort of like airport security, but there's also a hallway built around it. So
Yeah.
imagine like there is a one-way hall that things have to come through if they want to get to you. And that security checkpoint is quite bulky. It is a big checkpoint. Think
is-
like airport 3D scanner.
There is also the stairway.
There is also the stairway.
That's just a door.
It is just a door.
Okay. I'll defend from the stairway. I think that might be the best place.
So you're running back to the stairwell?
I'm not gonna enter it, but I'm going to basically just try and barricade that up.
Okay. So you're gonna barricade it with like a desk and like like monitors and everything, just anything that you can get your hands on.
Yeah.
And you're gonna block the door.
Yep.
Okay. So you run through as fast as you can and as efficiently as you can. You run into the security room. First thing that you notice, the security room, like it's not loaded up with weaponry, but you do notice something now that the lights are on, that the desk, there is what appears to be like an old school, I can't remember the name of it, but it's like one of those really big bulky flashlights. That's like kind of effectively
Ooh,
like
okay.
a cudgel.
Wait.
What?
We have security clearance cards, right?
You do.
Is there a way to turn off the robots? We saw the
Maybe.
room. We saw
There
a
is the
room where they
security
were
room.
Yeah.
That's where they would store them.
Is there an off switch? Like, legit?
You could go and check. You'd have to decide whether or not you want to go and check or you want to try to shore up the wall or the door. What I will tell you for free, that I will give you this for free before you decide what you want to do. You can grab that big bulky flashlight, run back to the stairwell, and wedge it in the doorway and the handle so the door won't open. It's not going to keep them from breaking the door down, but it will keep the door from opening.
There's something, but I don't think that's really enough. That'll, buy us 10 seconds at most, kind of thing?
You don't know. You don't know for sure. You saw these robots
break concrete.
breaking concrete. Like,
yeah.
once they have assessed that they need to use that level of force, they have a very, very deep wellspring of strength to tap into.
And from what we saw when they were coming, like, entering the doors, they were searching. They didn't know where we were, right?
Correct. What are you doing? What are you doing?
I'll wedge wedge the light into the door.
What are you doing after that?
I'm gonna try and turn off security. Try to turn them off. See if I can find
So-
something with that.
Just to let you know, for you to get to the security room, you would have to pass that door that leads to the stairwell. The security room is on the opposite side of where JJ is. So let me offer you a visual aid
Yeah.
in
that
these
would
trying
help.
times. So, the front office effectively looks. It's a little hard to draw, but there's a hallway here, and it leads to the security room. Elevators are here. Security room is here, and it leads into this open area. The stairwell would be here.
So JJ would be
And JJ,
defenseless, essentially.
yes, JJ is here.
Okay, yeah, no. Then,
So you're running past this way, you run in here, grab that flashlight, shove it in the door.
no,
You
I want to
could-
defend JJ.
You want to defend JJ? Okay.
Yeah,
so
I
you're
want to make
standing
sure
right
he's
here?
safe. Yeah. If nothing
Okay.
else, JJ's out of sight, so, like, I would be the only target currently, so...
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
You do have a
Barricade the
knife.
door. Yeah, I do have a knife and a flashlight, one of those heavy flashlights.
Unless
but
you're
yeah,
using it to wedge the door, in which case you can't use it as a weapon.
No, I'll barricade the door then instead of the security thing.
So you wedge it in the door, and I'm still giving you the chance to do one other thing on top of that.
Oh.
Because you can grab the flashlight and slam it in the door handle so that it doesn't open right away. You have enough time to do one more thing. You can barricade the door more, you can go to the security room, you
Yeah,
can barricade this area,
I'll barricade the second area as well.
barricade this security checkpoint.
Yeah.
Okay. So you slap the flashlight into the door handle, turn on your heel, and run back to the security checkpoint. You run into that little office near there where they had the computer and the little security camera thing and the computer, and you just immediately like, fuck it, grab the desk and pull the desk out into the hallway and shove it in front of the security checkpoint. They'd have to tear the desk up or vault over it to get through, because you're blocking off a already kind of blocked hallway. You slide it up to there, you grab the desk chair, throw that on top. You grab the body of the computer, just yank it out of the wall, cords going everywhere, throw that on top. Just any and everything. If it's not bolted to the floor, you throw it in the hallway and you climb through a tiny little hole and get to the other side. In the amount of time that took, as you are scrambling back to the other side to get with your back to JJ, he like hears all the commotion and turns around, like he's like, they're not already here, right? Turns around and looks and sees that you have barricaded everything, and then just nods and gets back to his thing. You can see that he has busted out what it kind of looks like a blowtorch almost out of one of his fingers. But you have that barricade, and just as you crawl through, you hear the sound of a wrench and a twist and a snap of a door being catapulted off of its hinges and a flashlight being destroyed. And from that hallway, you hear the sounds of like march steps of like 1, 2, 1, 2, and there's enough visibility through your blockade of garbage that you're able to see 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 of them. And you can't see any more than that, but you hear steps still. And one by one, they all come forward and start grabbing parts of the barricade and just yanking it. The lights up here is the area up here is lit a lot better because there are street lights outside. And the light bleeds in. Getting a better look at these things, they don't look... well, I was going to say they don't look as menacing, but they still kind of look menacing. Because they are like bleach white stormtrooper-esque looking things with like red LEDs on their face. They reach forward, grab part of the chair, and yank it, and stuff slides off of the desk. And then another one reaches forward, grabs part of the desk, and yanks. Part of the desk is latched onto that scanning equipment. It's supposed to scan you for weapons, and the desk just is sheared in half. And you hear the sounds of like wood and cheap like plastics being wrenched apart. And a third robot comes up and starts grabbing onto the security checkpoint and trying to maneuver around it. It can't quite get in. They're not nimble. So once it gets kind of stuck, it takes a step back and then starts moving, like grabbing and moving stuff out of the way as well. JJ like is looking back to you. He looks over his shoulder and he is visibly sweating now. The color is once again starting to leave his face out of fear. Then as you turn back, one robot takes a step forward and puts all of its weight on its front-facing foot and is going to press, and then part of the desk and part of the blockade crunches underneath it and it walks forward. It's your turn, Lockhart. They have broken through the gate.
How close am I to the first one, I guess?
However close you want to be. I will say that you can be right outside of, like, right in reach, or you could be, like, just a good bit away so that you could start, like, throwing stuff at them if you wanted to grab stuff from the front desk.
I want to throw stuff at them.
Okay. So you're at the front desk area and you're throwing stuff at them then. There's not a heck of a lot of stuff on the front desk area. There's like a stapler, there's a couple of pens and papers and clipboards. But you just grab a fistful of stuff and start chucking it.
I was expecting something heavier, but
it's office supplies.
That's fair.
There's not much.
Is there a stapler?
There is a stapler.
Use a stapler as a weapon.
Like, let me see really quick. Look, I just want to see, like, what is a standard thing that you could expect from a front desk? Like, that you wouldn't have used to blockade.
Yeah.
Staplers,
you could, like,
phones.
stapler, scissors, like maybe like a stapler remover, a couple of pens, papers. Yeah, like there's not really. there's one of those little stress man.
Okay.
When you squeeze, the eyeballs come out of their head.
I have an idea. I don't know how well it'll work, but how many scissors are pairs of scissors? Doesn't have to be sharp ones. It can be even the kitty ones. How many pairs?
How many pairs of scissors?
Yes.
At a front desk?
Yes. I assume like probably 2 at most.
Yeah,
to be
2
honest.
at
Yeah.
most.
I was gonna say you can find 2. You find 2 pairs of scissors, and they are adult size scissors. They're not like shitty little kitty ones. These are normal quality scissors.
Perfect. That's 4 weapons if you break them in half.
Do you want
So
to take the scissors and just immediately snap them to get 4 pointy objects?
yes, because I have an idea. So
Okay.
instead of throwing stuff, right, I'll be kind of towards the barricade, and I want when one of them crashes through, I want to try and jab it in that neck area.
Okay.
Because I could use these guys as barricades if I can disable them.
So I'll say, like, while they were destroying the barricade, you ran over to the office supplies, just rummaged through the drawers, looked for anything useful. There's not a lot of crazy weaponry that you could hope to find, but you do find the scissors. You grab them, pop them in half. You have 4 oddly shaped stabbing utensils, and as well as the knife that JJ gave you.
Exactly.
So you run back to the barricade, just in time for a robot foot to crunch through the barricade. Now what are you doing? You're going to go for the neck?
Yeah, I want to try. My goal essentially is to use the fact that there are a lot of them as barricades themselves, just to make it harder for them to get through and crawl over.
Okay. So I will say that this is harder to do because it is a shielded area, and you're trying to, you're intentionally lunging for it. But you can do it. So go ahead and roll me your attack with your melee weapon skill.
Okay.
Do you want to boost this?
Yes. Yes, I
Okay.
do. Boosting, melee weapon, and do I still have to leave them to me, or did that work?
Yes, you still have the bonus because you are defending JJ, who is otherwise not helping you.
Okay. 26.
26. Okay. So you lunge forward, and the first one that comes through, you're prepared for it now. You're not an expert at it, but you know where these things, like, you know their arm length, you know their reach, and you know where their elbows are and where they bend. So as you lunge forward, it throws its arms up to try and catch you, and you're able to dip underneath it and pop up way too close to it, where it would have to bend its arms all the way in to grab you. And once you're inside its reach, you grab, like, almost like you're vaulting a wall. You grab the front side of its armored collar and, like, kind of push yourself off with your feet and lift up and bring the scissors down and just start shearing into the neckline area. It's not as, like, instantaneous as you would expect from a human, where you're just stabbing them and, you know, blood comes out and they kind of turn off. You sink the knife in, and it's just kind of a fabric. It's almost like a nylon fabric that's there. But you're stabbing and shearing around, and you feel some tugging and snapping and pulling as you're hitting something. You're hitting cables and wires. That would be roll one more attack, because you're damaging it. It's not down yet. You're gonna need to damage it a little bit more. Or you could use,
I use
the glove.
Glove, yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
You have damaged it, and then while actually, yeah, like, just turn on, you activate the glove, like, you have the scissors in that hand, you've stabbed it into its neck, and you're kind of hoisted up onto it. You activate the glove, and the scissors light up with the pulse of the glove, and then that glow happens, and it emanates from inside this machine. And you can see, like, the head and part of the torso. It's all of the lights on its eyes just wink out, and the arms bend and start to, like, kind of move around, and you see that it's doing that thing where it realizes it can't see, and it's going to start to flail. This robot is immediately, like, you let go of it, It's holy shit. Let's fucking go! I rolled double ones. So
Ah!
the robot, it like you let go of it and it starts to wail its arms around, like up and down and left and right. It is full tilt swinging, and like as it spins, it'll spin around and hit one of the other robots behind it, and it starts to turn into like a domino effect as they're all kind of
Yes.
crammed in close to each other, and it starts to just become this cacophony of what sounds like just trash can drums just banging against each other. The like pounding and scraping of metal as some of the robots start to try and maneuver forward to like get the malfunctioning one out of the way. The malfunctioning one just spinning wildly and wailing its arms around. It's hitting parts of the walls as well. It's upright. It's totally upright until it isn't. And one of the arms hits something, a robot grabs the other arm, and it spins like spasms, and one leg comes up and it starts to fall. And now they have this flailing, like violent, confused, blind robot that is just spasming on the ground to try and scramble over. And you look over and you see JJ. JJ is partially watching this, like head on a swivel, looking at this, looking back at the door, looking at that, looking at the head, looking at the door again. And he looks at you and then holds up number 3, like 3 fingers. You're not sure if that means like 3 minutes or 3 seconds, but he holds up 3 and then goes back to the door.
Mm.
I'm going to say that with the robots that are kind of stuck behind the flailing one, I'll give 3 of them the opportunity to step over it. 1, 2. So 2 robots manage to step over and past the one that's on the ground. Another one is kind of harried by it. But these 2 robots step up to you, Lockhart, and they are now looking to grab, like, restrain you in some way. They're not going to strike you, they're going to restrain you. This first one... Ooh, that's really good. But wait, your defense is
16.
16. Nope. Okay, so this one reaches over and, like, it reaches down and goes for both of your arms. As it grabs you, you actually do something that works remarkably well for humans when they grab you around the wrist, where you, like, turn and yank your arm, and it just slips out of their grip. Before the machine can actually bear down on you with its, like, machine vice grip, you slip your hand out from its arm, or from its hands, and the other one... you see that it walks up and just it 2-armed lunges for you, and you dip underneath it. So it is your turn now. You have 2 robots to fight.
Okay. So I will. So I dip underneath it.
Mm-hmm.
Can I? Can I dip underneath it and push into its lunge to get it off balance?
Sure.
Because that seems to be the best route here.
Sure. Yeah. So you dip underneath its arm. Roll me a tough check to shove.
Okay.
And you'll shove it into the other one because the other one is not.
Yeah.
Like, you're going to be maneuvering out of position for it.
Okay. And does this count as attack or no?
I think it would. I think it would count as an attack.
Okay, then I get the bonuses. I will use another prep. Because if I can get these 2 out, I'll be good. That's a good roll.
That's a good roll. Okay, So you dip underneath it as it lunges, it swings both arms down and catches air. You're on the other side of it, and with like all of your body weight behind it, you take one step forward, put your left foot out and kick as hard as you can, and with one kick, it staggers forward, crashes into the other robot, and slams into the ground. Like, it spirals down and hits the floor. The other robot is like smashed and falls to one knee and is still upright. But you did some hella damage to that one that you kicked.
So
You have
second,
one more turn. Or
yeah,
one more
second
move.
action.
Mhm.
So the one that fell is between me and the one that is on its knee, correct?
Yeah. Correct.
So let's do this again. Go for the neck. Shock it. For the one
gonna
that's on the ground. On the ground, so that way it kind of, if it's gonna flail, it'll be a little harder to maneuver around. Kind of my idea.
Sure. Okay. So you like slip on top of it, like slide up to its neck, reach the glove down, and grab around the base of its neck and zap it. And the eyes wink out, and you can see the arms start to like ambulate and grab. They reach for you, and then they start to veer off into the air and start to grab and pinch and claw, trying to find something in an ocean of sensory deprivation. It's starting to freak out and panic, and we'll see how well it struggles. Bruh! So, this one, it swings an arm around, and it's wildly flailing. One arm swings and it hits the robot across the kneeling robot across the face, and it like greatly dents the side of its head. And you see that, Lockhart, and you think like for a brief moment you're like, oh shit, it's got it, it's gonna get it down, and then the other arm comes down and hits you in the left shoulder, and you feel something pop. And your arm just goes like completely numb. It goes from 0 to that tingly feeling you get when you've been sitting on it for too long.
Is that her bad arm?
It rolled double sixes.
Oh shit!
But it hits. It's not your gloved arm. It's the non-gloved arm. But it hits your arm and completely dislocates your shoulder. And you feel like a drop in the pit of your stomach as like your body wants to go into shock.
UFOs
very,
in the
very
sky,
badly.
missing cats,
Your body.
strange
You are currently piloting your body like a Gundam that is losing body part, or that is losing pieces. It is a struggle to keep yourself upright, but you have been in situations like this before. You are not. This is not foreign to you. But you take a step back, and this thing is starting to spasm. The one that is on its knee is going to get up and try to move past this guy. I'll say that it takes an action to like get up off of its, get up from a kneeling position and safely maneuver around the one that's starting to spasm and kick and flail. And it's going to go straight up to you, Lockhart.
Question.
Say what?
The
Yes.
double sixes, I'm assuming that'd be 2 damage,
Yes, it would be 2 damage to you.
and that gets lowered to 1 because of walker down.
Correct. What's your damage total right now?
4 out of 6.
Cool. So you're doing good.
Yeah.
Yeah. So this one, like, it walks up and it carefully maneuvers around the one that's starting to flail. Behind it, you can see that the barricade, a few robots have started to maneuver past it and are starting to get loose. And just before the one that you're immediately facing gets to you, you like bite down on your just clench your teeth as hard as you can and do a quick 1, 2, 3 and yank your arm and pop it back into your socket, which sends this shockwave through your body. But you're still up, and you can't quit because JJ still doesn't have the door open. He's trying really hard, and you can like see him over your shoulder, like a quick glance, and you see him just like sweating bullets, panicking, but still very focused on trying to open the door. This one that is in front of you, though, takes like one swing, and it is now decided that it is not worth trying to grab you. It just swings a punch, and you dip out of the way, but you realize it's not actually like it. I call it a punch. It swung its arm forward, and it's not balling its fingers into a fist. Its fingers form that sheer pickaxe-like surface. But you dodged it. Though if that hits, if that connects, that is going to very badly hurt. It's basically a stake driver, almost. You now have 3 robots to deal with. 2 that are slightly further back, 1 that is in front of you. It's your turn.
Oh boy, JJ, what happened to 2 minutes? Fucking go, Amy. God, fuck, go for the leg. Go for the joint, the leg again. Try and shock it.
Okay.
Oh, I have 2.
Roll to hit. You're gonna slap it in the leg joint to zap its leg to keep it from moving.
Yeah. Again, oh god. I boost it.
Mm-hmm.
Let's go. 19.
That's enough. So you, like, it swings at you again with another hand, and you, like, slide underneath it. It drives a fist forward, and you dip underneath that one, and then reach a hand out, grab around the joint of its leg to its hip, and then the glove. You, at this point, it's become, like, almost second nature for you to reach forward and zap, and then reach back. And then you take a step back, and it's, like, you can see the weight shift, and the joint go limp. Next action.
Kick it into the other 2.
Okay. Roll to hit. This is going to be an attack, so you can. I will count this as you trying to hit it.
Okay. I am gonna use my last prep here.
Big money. Hey, that's big money. So with its leg limp, you take a step back and you see that 2 robots have started to walk forward. They're just barely in line with it that you can do this. You line yourself up, and in place without much wind up at all, you're able to like swing your hands forward and back, lift your legs up to ball yourself up in the air, and then coil up, tilt, and then just 2 heels smash it in the chest. And you fall to the ground and like crash onto your side, and it hurts. But with all of your force behind that kick, that robot staggers backward, one leg trying to balance itself and catch itself, totally unable to. As it stumbles and staggers, it completely goes wide, its other leg completely rigid, and it's going to crash into both of those robots. And it turns into full-on, like, security drone dominoes. As it hits both, it hits the one immediately behind it, which causes that one to fall and hit the one behind that even further. So you have dominoed them all the way down.
Again.
The one on the floor that you had previously dealt with still flailing. You notice the one that was flailing in the barricade? It's been crushed. Like the robots that are closing in from there have just stepped on it until it has been destroyed. These robots that are all knocked down, they're all going to try to get back up. And this one's going to walk up. The one that you heel kicked, it can't quite ambulate. It's going to roll onto its side and start to crawl in a very wide arc to get to you. But it is almost very reminiscent of the one on the stairs, doing that hand-over-hand crawling. But it has to crawl in a wide arc since one of its legs won't move and it can't, like, get it to cooperate. So it crawls in a circle, or a semicircle, and it's going to try and hit you by the ankle, and it reaches out, but for every time it reaches out, it has to balance itself awkwardly, and it's snapping around your legs, around your ankles almost.
The biter.
It's, and I say snapping, it's literally reaching out with its hand to try and grab at your ankles. But as it reaches out, you're able to, like, just dance and tiptoe away out of the way. You're safe from it for the most part. That one can't really do much. But the other two have yet to be zapped. One of them is going to get up and walk around. And what is your 15? Never mind. Yours is 16.
Yeah.
Okay, so it walks up. It's gonna bring a hand forward and, like, straight, aiming it straight at your head, and you slip out of the way. And it's, for you, it's an instinctual maneuver, but the gravity of the situation is starting to set in on you, and it's like, if you don't slip one of those hits that goes for your head, you will die. It will kill you. That is not a punch. That is effectively like a railroad spike.
It's not like she's dealt with one of those before or anything. You know?
Hyro, though. Can you wait? Thank you. Sorry.
No worries.
The other one is going to come up. And same roll, same thing. So it gets up and walks to a parallel side of you and swings, like, again, it's just two quick strikes. Tish, tish, and each one you are able to slip out of the way. When they strike at you, Lockhart, it's actually a little bit easier because you're able to kind of fall back on your instincts. Like, a punch is, even with longer arms and a longer reach, conceptually, it's easy for you to understand, like, okay, it's going to aim here, I need to move my head and my body there. And so you're still able to dodge and weave out of the way. It's just a lot higher stakes than normal. JJ is up. And just as it comes back, you will have your turn as normal, but you hear a ka-ting ting, and JJ steps back and shoulder checks the door, and it opens. He has cut all the way around the handles. But the door is open and you are free to go into the night air, and JJ just turns back and just goes, "Let's fucking go! Let's fucking go!"
Lockhart isn't gonna question that. She's gonna, like, once Jade out the door, she's gone as well.
Okay. Cool. So you both book it and start hightailing it down the street as fast and hard as your legs can carry you. As you are sprinting down the street, JJ's starts to slow a little bit, and he is starting to pant a lot harder and harder. And he starts to slow to a very, very brisk walk. He's going as fast as he possibly can. You're about a block and a half from your vehicle, but as you go, JJ slows and looks over his shoulder. You don't see any robots following you. It is dark out, but you don't see anything. You presume you are safe. JJ looks up at Lockhart and blinks real slowly. And you can see him do that blinking pattern that somebody does when they're trying to like make themselves more awake, where they blink once and then open their eyes real wide and then blink again. And he slaps the side of his face. And just goes,
Yeah, Lockhart will.
Lockhart.
Oh, like she's actually gonna like slap his face a bit, you know, to keep him up. Hey,
He's. Go ahead.
no passing out yet. At least it's
Just looks like half-lidded gaze. He is sweating very badly, and he's just like, it's easy for you to say. You didn't get fucking stabbed. Fucking stupid-ass robots. He starts hobbling. You get to your vehicles. And as you do, JJ gets up to his car and immediately, like, he leans a hand against it and he just goes, home free, and then passes out. He slumps and you hear the thud of his weight against the side of his trunk and, like, back bumper, and he slides to the ground.
fuck. Lockhart will. Oh god, she's tired too, but she wants to at least help him get. No fucking shit, Abe! Wants to at least get him in the car and try and cover up his stomach a bit. So
You go and pick JJ up, and as you're picking him up, you can see like his left side where he got punctured. His entire left leg is covered in blood, all the way down to his socks. It is a lot. It's hard to see because he is wearing predominantly black clothing, but when you go to lift him up, you can feel how much of it is dampened from blood.
okay,
Knock, knock, Melisca.
yeah. I don't think either of them are able to drive currently, though.
Not safely.
If only you brought your good driver of a medic engineer with you, huh?
Lockhart will take his keys, like, try to shift him into the back of the car, because, like, she doesn't have the strength either. Like,
As you're shifting him, you can feel like he's got some other stuff in his pockets. You feel his keys. You feel he has a flask on him, for whatever good that's worth. You can feel like a couple of other like tools and little things he has, mechanical tools that Lockhart looking at, you're like, you don't know what the fuck this is. It looks like a multi-tool, probably. It's some tech shit.
yeah, she's gonna shift him into the, like, letting him in the seat of the car. Does he have any type of cloth that she can, like, put against his stomach?
Well, he's got a suit coat and a pea coat.
He's got a shirt.
Yeah,
He's also got his own shirt.
well, he has that coat that's on, so rip that off, kind of try and... I don't think it's wrappable, but she can at least put it on his stomach and then, like, put the weight of him underneath, you know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
So that it kind of puts a little bit of pressure. She'll lay his arms over his stomach also for, you know, pressure.
You lay his arms on his stomach, and you get a little bit of a response out of him. Like, the kind of half awake, half unconscious, like, and he moves his hands into position. You can see his face kind of contort in pain. Like, it's likely a very dulled sense of pain, but the discomfort is enough to pierce all the way into his unconscious brain, and he puts, like, when you put his hands on his chest, they find the wound and give it a little bit of pressure.
Yeah. Move on to that and get you to a doctor now. As soon as possible.
He just, like, again, he is sweating and kind of pale, but otherwise Otherwise, he's $1 million.
She will get in, like, close the door, get into the front seat. She does not feel confident in her driving, but, you know, someone's got to do it. It's not going to be
Somebody's gonna
JJ.
drive. So Lockhart is driving, partially concussed, also
Yep.
also bleeding a little bit, bleeding from the
Yep.
head.
Yeah.
Gonna
It's
stay in the slow
fine.
lane.
Yeah, taking the solo lane. Let's... She
And you're heading where to?
Veloska.
Going straight to Veloska? Okay.
Yeah.
So you're lucky that Veloska's your hideaway that you have given to Veloska for the time being is in Voyager Ward.
Which is nearby. Yeah.
Yes, it is 1 ward away. So
Yeah,
you are
she
able.
calls him in advance too.
Cool. So you call Veloska. Do you call him on her phone or JJ's phone? Is my question.
Her phone.
Okay. Yeah, you call Veloska, and it is the ass end of midnight, later than midnight at this point. And Veloska, when you call him at that hour, specifically Lockhart, when Lockhart calls him at that hour, he, like, the phone rings, and it doesn't pick up. He doesn't pick up. It just goes straight to voicemail, or after a few rings, it goes to voicemail, and then you get a message from him. He's like, "Door's unlocked."
8 and 20.
He, like, there's an intuitive understanding that it's just like if you call him, he kind of knows. But you did it. You survived.
Yay!
Roll me one luck check. Because you are driving in a precarious situation. Okay. You're fine.
Thank God.
It is a shitty drive, full of those moments where you are exhausted and you start to doze off a little bit, and then you kind of shake your head and you're just like, nope, no, I'm awake. I'm awake. And you kind of slap the sides of your face and just, oh, okay. And then you start to, like, doze a little bit, and it would be so satisfying to just close your eyes and take a break, but you keep fighting, and after an hour and change, because getting from one ward to the next takes about an hour.
Oh.
So after about an hour and change, you manage to drive all the way back to your hideout in Voyager Ward, where you are greeted by Veloska, who, like, you roll right up to the door, and, like, after I assume you don't even knock. You probably just collapse into the door.
Yep.
Yeah. So you collapse into the door, and there's a half second where, like, a panicked Veloska will walk over, and you can see he has his own shotgun, but he sees you and will, like, nod, doesn't say anything, just reaches down, grabs JJ, heaves JJ up, and pulls him into like an arm, like, shoulder carry, and starts to bring him to a table, and then we'll come back for Lockhart and see Lockhart to a couch. And you can see that, like, your entire flat here, Lockhart, has been completely repurposed into his makeshift studio.
All good. Yeah, like, when Lockhart came in with JJ, Veloska took him. She just sat there. like finally taking a breath of like, I can relax.
The moment you have that brief, relaxed breath, you are also completely out of it.
Yep.
And just the unconsciousness floods over you, and you are gone. But you did it.
Yay. It was a horde. I was not expecting so many.
Let's see here. Okay. And
We are out of time.
I was about to say, my voice is very tired. I think that we should wrap there, but we will convene next time and meet with Cyber Bengetti. Sorry that we couldn't do more.